Blind for 17 years, the Mafia boss's son uncovers a hidden truth that transforms his life forever. Vinny Rossi adjusted the dials on his soundboard, focusing intently on the audio mix that enveloped him. Outside, Brooklyn thrummed with life, a cacophony of sirens, muffled shouting, honking horns. For him, sound was a canvas, and with each twist of a knob, he painted the richness of life he could never fully grasp. Being blind for 17 years had made him an expert in audio engineering, though it had also tethered him to the legacy of fear and violence that ruled his family. A legacy built on the reign of a mafia boss, the man who was his father. That morning, while rummaging through his mother's belongings, the sharp edges of a weathered envelope grazed his fingertips. Heart racing, he pulled it out from a heavy cardboard box filled with faded clothes and yellowed photographs. There it lay, an old artifact that smelled of dust and secrets. With trembling fingers, he opened it, revealing documents that hinted at an inheritance cloaked in shadows. It was more than just money. It could reshape everything he ever thought about loyalty and family honor. What did that imply, he wondered, if family loyalty was forged from secrets? Vinny's breath quickened. His mind raced through labyrinthine thoughts. He had always revered the Rossi name, but what if it amounted to nothing more than a shroud for dark deeds? Had his mother, the moral compass in all the chaos, shielded him from a truth that threatened to dismantle the foundation of love he had for his family? Every beat of his heart echoed with doubt. Should he honor the legacy or pursue justice for the innocents buried beneath the weight of his father's empire? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The tension crackled in the air as he considered the ramifications. Days passed filled with heated conversations behind closed doors, troubling whispers slicing through the nights. Vinny started piecing together the ugly truths of his family's influence, not just over their foes, but also over the innocent lives shattered in their wake. Every fragment of new knowledge weighed heavily. The moral dilemma burdened him, pressing down like a suffocating blanket. Then the emotional floodgates cracked wide open, revealing the internal conflict he thought he'd kept hidden, a mixture of desperation and determination. Should he confront the darkness protecting his family? The very people he once idolized seemed closer to adversaries in this tangled mess of blood and betrayal. Just as he began to find strength, a gut-wrenching moment of clarity slammed into him. Could he stand idly as his family's legacy strangled the lives of others? And then, in a face-to-face confrontation, betrayal struck with the ferocity of a blade. The familiar voice, echoing disdainful accusations, cut through him. It was someone he had long respected within the family. As he stumbled through the weight of unresolved emotions, he realized that their twisted bonds of family loyalty could blur the line between ally and enemy. The shocking revelation about his mother's own entanglement in his father's empire hung heavy, a ghost waiting to claim him. Could the legacy he had cherished unravel into a fate he'd never imagined? All he knew was that the chase for a new truth had only just begun, leaving him standing on the precipice of a decision that could tear apart everything he loved. Vinny leaned against the cold wall of his music studio, the reverberations of sound bleeding into the silence that filled his mind. The echoes of his father's empire, a haunting melody of insecurity and intimidation, lingered around him. The confrontation with Marco had shaken him like an earthquake, revealing the cracks in what he had once considered a solid foundation. The familiar voice, laced with betrayal, had turned family into a battlefield. Doubt and anger blazed within him, battling for dominance over his thoughts. He had always believed the Rossi family was a bastion of power and honor, a legacy wrapped in loyalty. Yet the darkness that danced in the edges of those faded documents was pulling him into a terrifying spiral. He could no longer ignore the whispers of the innocent that fell victim to his father's reign. Taking a deep breath, Vinny grasped a handful of complex emotions, the weight of sorrow, conscious determination, and a sliver of fear. This was the moment of truth, where a decision would be forged in the flickering light of moral clarity and shadow. Feeling the pulse of Brooklyn vibrate beneath him, he realized he could no longer nobly cling to the family name while turning a blind eye to its rotten core. In those fleeting moments after Marco's accusation, a lingering question clung to him. Was he capable of truly wielding the power of choice? Would he summon the courage to unravel the legacy that had both confined him and shaped his identity? Vinny's fingers slicked over the edges of the envelope that had changed everything. Each creased line felt like a deep swath cut into his understanding of family dynamics. He had to dig deeper, not merely to cast judgment, but to understand fully. There were pieces of the puzzle he had yet to uncover, pieces that could reveal not only the truth of his father's legacy, but his mother's role in it all. Harnessing his curiosity, he began methodically scanning through the documents again, cautiously navigating through the wealth of information. Names echoed through his mind, associated with threats and promises made in shadows. What if this wasn't just about family ties? What if he discovered abilities within himself he had yet to explore? He had honed his craft in the darkness, mastering sound and rhythm. But what about mastering the light of truth? With newfound resolve, Vinny's fingers reached for his phone, tapping in hurriedly as he searched for details of a local support group linked to victims of organized crime. Perhaps he could find direction, voices that resonated with his grief and anger. Perhaps they held the missing keys that would unlock the shadows swirling around him. As he pressed send, an unexpected surge of confidence surged within him. No longer the naive boy idolizing an oppressive legacy, he was ready to face the reality of what lay ahead. Whatever lies there, whether it be exposure of long-hidden truths, grappling with betrayal, or gathering allies, would not deter his quest for justice and understanding. He knew the time had come to claim his life, to fight against the narrative crafted by those before him. The sound of his heartbeat harmonized with the unyielding resolve that filled the air, anchoring his spirit to the mission blossoming within him. Somewhere inside him, a voice whispered that this path would not only lead to vengeance, but perhaps to redemption. As Vinny stood at this crucial juncture, the anticipation bubbled beneath him, urging him forth. There was unfinished business within the Rossi dynasty, and it would demand confrontation, both with shadowed figures of his past and the echoes of his own identity. He was ready to confront the darkness, but what he didn't know was how deeply entangled he truly was in a game that went beyond family, the game of power and survival in a ruthless underworld. His phone vibrated with a message, pulling him back into reality. It was from a stranger, a link to an underground meeting, a chance to confront the past and reclaim his narrative. As he followed the message, adrenaline surged through his veins. The moment was now, and his journey into the depths of his family's legacy was only just beginning. As Vinny stepped out of his studio into the pulsating energy of Brooklyn's streets, the cool evening air infiltrated his senses like a bracing tonic. Each exhale mingled with the city's rhythm, a stark contrast to the intense interior storm brewing in his mind. The address pinged in his phone, guiding him toward a place wrapped in secrecy and danger, a conduit for those who had suffered under the oppressive shadows of familial allegiance. Navigating through a maze of darkened alleyways, he deliberated on what lay ahead. Would he find people like him, searching for clarity amidst confusion? His heart drummed a rapid staccato, blending anxiety with anticipation. This meeting could be a turning point, perhaps the first step into a broader world where the legend of the Rossi name could no longer suppress his being. Upon arrival, he was met with a dimly lit room, the atmosphere heavy with unsaid words and shared trauma. A dozen faces lined the walls, each shrouded in their own stories, their eyes revealing layers of hurt, resolve, and a desperate need for truth. Vinny's heart raced, not just from fear, but from the realization that he was not alone in this personal crusade. "Are you here to listen or to share?" a husky voice inquired. It belonged to a woman with a scar patching her brow, a mark of battles fought head-on. "I'm here to understand," Vinny replied firmly, surprising even himself with the steadiness of his own words. The vulnerability he had so carefully enveloped was beginning to peel away, replaced by a burgeoning strength. As the meeting unfolded, raw narratives interspersed with mutual empathy enveloped him. People spoke of losing loved ones, family ties distorted into choking vines, and lives shattered by an unseen hand, the quintessential legacy of crime. The feelings resonated deep within him, the parallels between their experiences and his life unfurling before him like a tapestry of tangled threads. Vinny listened intently, absorbing their stories, but as they spoke about their own fight against the continued grip of the past, he began to see an unanticipated reflection of himself. Hidden within himself was a burgeoning desire for autonomy, a voice demanding to be heard. The legacy of his father was not just a burden, it was a challenge, an opportunity for reclamation. The possibility of using his talents, not just in music, but in forging a new narrative, was awakening a part of him he had long ignored. "Do you think we can ever escape our families?" A soft voice broke through the room's heaviness, drawing his attention. A young man across the circle looked at him, his eyes searching for answers. Vinny formulated a response, but the truth weighed heavily on his tongue. Escaping might not be the answer. "Maybe it's about redefining who we are within that legacy," he suggested, surprising himself, watching the nods in the group react to the sentiment. The moment of clarity struck him forcefully. While they assembled in the shadows of betrayal, he recognized he possessed a unique blend of skill and perspective. His musical expertise, honed through years of practice, could be manipulated into a powerful communication tool, allowing him to reshape the conversations that surrounded the Rossi aim. He felt a palpable shift, a vision crystallizing where music met defiance against a narrative governed by fear and deception. The meeting concluded with shared stories of resilience, each participant vowing to take steps toward their emancipation from the past. As he left the building, Vinny felt charged with purpose, his pacing quickening under the weight of this new direction. But as he stepped back outside, the coldness settled back around him, a reminder of the darker choices encircling him. Was he ready to confront the figures who had cast shadows over his legacy? The thought ignited both apprehension and excitement within him. As the city lights flickered, overhead, illuminating the streets that felt both familiar and foreign, Vinny decided he would need allies, perhaps even a plan sculpted with precision and intention. But where would he start? The question hung in the air like a melody waiting to resolve, propelling him forward into the unknown. What rhythm would guide his initial steps toward justice? And could he orchestrate this personal symphony without losing himself to the very chaos he sought to escape? Vinny paused at the intersection of Brook and Grand, the neon signs reflecting off puddles of rainwater like stars fallen to the pavement. His heart was steady now, each beat syncing with the low hum of determination that thrummed through his veins. The meeting had amplified something within him, a spark igniting a willingness to confront the oppressive legacy of the Rossi family. But resolve alone wasn't enough. He required a strategy. He recalled the faces from that dimly lit room, their struggles morphed into a collective vision. They had spoken about reclaiming their narratives, and as he stood there, jittery with unresolved questions, a tight knot of fear mixed with a burgeoning sense of possibility settled in his gut. Allies were crucial, but who would stand alongside him? He thought perhaps one of the participants recognized a familiar look. Conflict, hope, resolve. But forging those ties felt like walking a high wire. Vinny turned down an alley, choosing the shadows to sip at the last remnants of adrenaline. The path wound deeper into the heart of Brooklyn, its context changing subtly. the baritone of distant sirens merging with the sinister whispers of the night. He craved clarity, a coherent thread to pursue before stepping into the perilous realm he must navigate. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through contacts, heart racing as he contemplated reaching out to an old friend from high school, Mia. They had shared fleeting moments of music and barely their dreams, but he hadn't seen her since the infamy of his father became a bearing mantle. Would she even understand the depths of his struggle? Before he could overthink the possibility, he pressed her name. The phone rang once, then twice. A voice he hadn't heard in years broke through the static. "Vinny, my God, it's been ages." The warmth in her voice contrasted sharply against the chill of the evening. "Mia, He hesitated, words drowning in the weight of history. "I need help. There's something I need to do, and it's complicated." "Are you in trouble?" she asked, concern piercing through the distance that had grown between them. "No, not like that," he reassured, though part of him realized the danger inherent in being a Rossi. "I want to change how people see my family's name. I guess I need a collaborator, someone who knows the power of music like I do." "Let's meet," she replied without hesitation. "I'm intrigued. Where?" They decided on a small cafe that served as a makeshift stage for underground performances, a perfect setting, their shared love for music rekindling. An ember he hadn't touched in years. As he hung up, an unfamiliar sensation enveloped him. Excitement mixed with the stark realization that this initial step might not only bring Mia into his orbit, but challenge him to confront the very specter of his familial ties. They would need to sculpt an anthem of redemption, a composition that echoed the truths of their shared past and forged pathways to the future. Yet beneath the thrill lay lingering questions, shadows gnawing at the edges of his clarity. Could they transform the narrative not only for themselves, but for others shackled to similar legacies? Was such a transition even possible without igniting the wrath of those who thrived in the darkness he aimed to escape? In the flicker of nearby streetlights, Vinny felt the pulse of possibilities, each one a note toward change. But as he mentally arranged the elements of his plan, one gut-wrenching thought crystallized. Pursuing liberation from a legacy of fear meant confronting the architects of his family's power, those who might not take kindly to his defiance. With each step toward the cafe, the rhythm of the night swirled around him, igniting an internal battle vying for clarity and resolution. He felt divided, an artist caught between the legacy of a criminal dynasty and the yearning for his own voice. But what emerged from this conflict would propel him deeper into the tempest awaiting him. The resonant question remained: could he find a melody that harmonized his desire for freedom with the undeniable reality of his past? As the cafe loomed ahead, its warm glow a beacon in the night, Vinny steeled himself for the pivotal conversation with Mia. It would lead him into uncharted territory, a realm where personal confrontation awaited, testing the very fabric of his resolve. The remaining threads of his familial obligations were still tethered, but with music as his ally, he was ready to unravel the ties that bound him. Little did he know, the essence of his journey had just begun, and the call to confront the Rossi legacy would soon emerge uninvited into his world. As Vinny pushed open the door to the cafe, the aroma of coffee and damp wood enveloped him in a warm embrace, contrasting sharply with the chill swirling outside. Soft notes of an acoustic guitar floated through the air, wrapping around the casual conversations and laughter that filled the room. This was a haven, a place where he hoped to find not just Mia, but clarity on a path he had barely begun to tread. He spotted her, tucked away in a corner, the soft glow of a table lamp illuminating her familiar features. Mia had traded youthful exuberance for an artistic aura, one that radiated confidence amidst uncertainty. Their eyes met, a jolt of recognition passing between them, conjuring memories of carefree days filled with music and dreams, untainted by the undercurrents of familial shame. "Vinny, it's so good to see you," she said, genuine warmth etched into his voice. "Thanks for meeting me." he replied, sliding into the seat across from her. His heart thudded. This was about to be more than a casual catch-up. Mia didn't waste time, leaning forward with interest. You mentioned needing help. What's on your mind? Vinny took a breath, the words momentarily knotting in his throat. He could no longer dance around the truth of his intentions. Images of the Rossi family's legacy flickered through his mind. Fear, violence, and silence. I want to create something that redefines what it means to be a Rossi. I want to use music to tell our stories, to challenge the identities thrust upon us. Mia's eyebrows drew together in concentration, and he watched her process his ambition, weighing its gravity against the weight of his family's reputation. That's a huge undertaking, Vinny. What makes you think you can do it? What if it just brings more trouble? Those words struck a nerve, a raw reminder of the dangers he sought to escape. I felt trapped for too long, Mia. I don't want my life to be dictated by what my father or his associates did. I want to express my own truth, but I'll need your help to do it. A flicker of hesitation crossed her face, but it was brief. Okay, I'm in, but we'll need to be strategic. You might have a vision, but executing it won't be simple. Relief seeped through him, but it was laced with an undercurrent of anxiety. I know it won't be easy, but there's something I've learned during this whirlwind. I crave authenticity. I want our music to resonate with the pain of our past while reaching for redemption. A spark ignited in Mia's eyes. What if we began by digging into the stories that shaped our lives? The music industry can be a powerful vehicle for change. We could interview others with similar backgrounds, create a documentary-style piece that blends personal narratives with original compositions. The idea blossomed in his mind, intoxicating yet overwhelming. That could work, but we'll need participants willing to share their truths, and I fear some may not want to disturb the dust long settled. Then let's find them, she said determinedly. There's always a risk, but think of the impact we could have. We can't rewrite the past, but if we can own our stories, perhaps we can redefine our futures. In that moment, the weight of possibility pressed heavily on him. This journey wouldn't just encompass his struggle with familial ties. It would require facing the ghosts of the past head-on, those figures who reveled in the shadows and could easily cast him back into darkness. And yet, Vinny felt an adrenaline surge. This was his chance to carve out a new narrative in defiance of the Rossi legacy. Let's do it, Mia, he declared, the words tasting like freedom. As they began sketching plans and potential collaborators, Vinny contemplated the intricate dance of vulnerability and strength ahead. But the nagging thought of retaliation from those in his family's sphere loomed like a thunderhead waiting to unleash its fury. Would they retaliate? Was it worth risking everything as he tore down walls only to face the storm beyond? With each passing moment, the cafe faded into the background, its existence overshadowed by the burgeoning task that lay ahead, a task that both terrified and exhilarated him. The time for action had come, and Winnie's resolve tasted bittersweet against the unknown. As they delved deeper into planning, Vinny's heart raced. Soon, he would face those who had haunted him all his life. But would he emerge unscathed? Or would the effort to reclaim his story provoke the very monsters he sought to escape? With each note he envisioned composing, Vinny realized this was more than music. It was his fight for identity, one that could transform everything he thought he knew. Vinny sat in a small room lined with soundproofing foam, the starkness of the walls juxtaposed against the chaos running through his brain. Mia's voice reverberated in his ears, urging him to cultivate the stories buried beneath layers of fear and shame. With a guitar resting across his lap, he strummed absent-mindedly, but the notes felt hollow, like whispers of a truth he hadn't yet dared to embrace. Fingers gliding over the strings, he thought about their conversation. The goal was ambitious, perhaps even reckless, and he wrestled with the possibility of setting off a chain reaction that could engulf him in darkness. Yet, lingering beneath that fear was a flicker of resolve to unearth the realities that shaped his perception of self and family. They had mapped out an initial plan. Over the next few weeks, they would begin reaching out to people within the community, connecting with individuals who could weave a tapestry of shared experiences, each thread connecting pain, loss, and resilience. But the ghosts of those experiences loomed large, and he could still see the shadows of family loyalty perched ominously in the corners of his mind. Mia's energy was infectious. Her belief that they could craft something meaningful breathed life into his plan, but doubt clawed at him. What if their explorations unearthed things better left hidden? With each interview, he risked unraveling truths he hadn't yet acknowledged in himself. Could he handle that? He picked up his notebook, scribbling down thoughts that turned into lyrics. Words poured out of him like steam from a boiling kettle, carrying the weight of confessions that had gone unspoken for too long. The page filled with fragments of stories that pulsed with authenticity, but he worried. Were these just the idle musings of a son attempting to escape a tarnished legacy? Vinny's mind drifted to his father, a figure shrouded in both intimidation and familiarity, a man who had commanded respect through fear. Would his father see through the thin veil Vinny tried to drape over his intentions? The images of gangland meetings, whispered threats, and fierce loyalty closed in on him. How would the Rossi empire react to his songs of vulnerability? The risk was palpable. He could either challenge the legacy thrust upon him or become a puppet forever dictated by his lineage. The time had come to face, he thought, sketching those words onto the paper, as if to remind himself of the path ahead. He closed his eyes, taking a moment to breathe deeply. A faint tremor in his hands revealed the depth of his anxiety. Each participant they sought to interview would not only share their pain, but might also stir recollections of violence, betrayal, and the shadowy obligations tied to the Rossi name. But what if there was healing amongst the pain? What if understanding could break the cycle of fear? He could feel the stirrings of a rebellion brewing within him, a rebellion not just against his father, but against the identity that had been thrust upon him. Vinny? Mia's voice broke through his thoughts, drawing him from his internal struggle. You okay? Yeah, just thinking about everything. Good, because we have a list of people to contact. The urgency in her voice reignited the adrenaline coursing through him. Let's do it, he said, transforming uncertainty into determination. Let's reach out, gather stories, and let the music speak for itself. It's time the world knew who we truly are. The weight of his resolve settled around him, but in the back of his mind, he felt the pressure of impending threats looming ever closer. Would the Rossi name be an anchor or a noose as he stepped into the fray of his own making? As he picked up the guitar again, fingers poised over the strings, a line of realization struck him. Finding his voice would entail a confrontation not only with the external forces of his family, but the internal battles raging within his heart. He understood they were stepping onto a battlefield, and the stakes were nothing short of his identity. In that moment, he recognized an urgent truth. He could redefine the narrative, but first, he had to gather the courage to confront the tumultuous truths waiting just beneath the surface. Vinny? Mia interrupted his thoughts again. Are you ready for the first interview? We can't stop now. Heart pounding, he nodded, realizing the path to self-discovery would demand not only bravery, but also tenacity. The journey had begun, and with each moment of vulnerability, the answer to his identity was slowly piecing itself together. But the looming shadows of his family's disapproval still hovered, waiting for the right moment to strike. As they packed up their things, he felt the exhilarating weight of the unknown surge through him, thrilling yet terrifying. Would the stories they uncovered offer liberation, or would they awaken the very enemies he wished to forget? The quiet intensity of the moment wrapped around him as uncertainty loomed larger than ever before. The time had truly come to face the music and the world, and with it, the ghosts that lingered like shadows, waiting to be exorcised. Vinny's heart raced as he followed Mia down the dimly lit hallway leading to their first interview. The walls seemed to close in, echoes of uncertainty creeping in. Each step felt heavy, laden with the weight of unspoken stories and hidden truths. He glanced at Mia, who walked with confident strides, her enthusiasm stark against his growing apprehension. As they reached the door, Vinny paused, the cool metal of the doorknob sending a jolt of energy through him. This was the moment, his first foray into confrontation, not just with others, but with the very essence of his being. With a deep breath, he turned the knob and stepped inside. The room held a modest warmth, illuminated by soft lighting that contrasted the starkness of his internal landscape. An elderly woman sat hunched over, her face lined with years of hardship and survival, the kind of resilience he longed to understand. Mrs. Salvatore, Mia introduced them, injecting life into the stillness. The woman looked up, her weary eyes scanning them before settling on Vinny. She hesitated, and he sensed the instinctual wall rising within her, a protective barrier built by years of guardedness. "And who might you be?" "I'm Vinny," he replied, willing his voice to steady. "I'm here to listen." As the conversation unfolded, Vinny found himself immersed in a world that was simultaneously foreign and familiar. The stories poured forth, raw and unrefined, tales of loss, betrayal, and the weight of expectations. Each narrative was a thread that wove deeper into the fabric of his own experience. He listened intently, feeling layers of his own fear peeling away with every revelation. "Your family?" Mrs. Salvatore queried, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. Vinny hesitated, grappling with the implications of sharing his identity. "I'm the son of well, it's complicated." He could feel the truth fluttering just out of reach, a contradiction simmering silently under the surface. With gentle prodding, Mrs. Salvatore shared her own dark legacies, illuminating paths of resilience that mirrored her family's own tangled history. He began to connect the dots, recognizing that her courage to withstand a lifetime of challenges mirrored the struggles embedded deep in his soul. As he left her home, a mix of exhilaration and dread coursed through him. He had taken a step, but now the consequence of that step loomed larger and more intimidating than before. Each story he absorbed felt like a piece of his own psyche unlocking, stirring something powerful within him. "Vinny, are you all right?" Mia asked, looking concerned as she noticed his brooding silence. "Yeah, just processing," he said. The tension still coiled tightly in his chest. "Let's hit the next one then," she encouraged, oblivious to the storm. He nodded, but as they drove towards their next destination, a wave of doubt crashed over him. What had he started? Each story gathered burdened not only those who lived through them, but also him, the one who must now carry them forward. The songs that were. Beginning to form in his mind felt perilously close to revealing more than he intended. With each passing interview, he saw facets of himself reflected back, but shadows lingered, the Rossi legacy that posed as both a shield and a shackle. Could he navigate the delicate balance needed to honor the truth he unearthed without provoking the anger of those who had built their lives around silence and fear? His grip tightened around the steering wheel as he fought to quell the swell of anxiety, feeling the weight of the Rossi name bearing down on him like a vengeful specter. The music he sought to create was meant to liberate, yet in unveiling others' truths, he risked exposing his own vulnerabilities and igniting familial wrath. "Ready?" Mia questioned, her voice cutting through his spiraling thoughts. Her optimism stirred something within him, a flicker of determination. "Let's do it," he said, this time louder, more convinced. The stakes were high, but he needed to press onward. As they approached the next house, Vinny's internal conflict pulsed like a heartbeat, louder than ever. The time had come to unearth not just the stories of others, but to engage directly with the darkest corners of his past. But as his heart raced at the thought, a new question emerged, wrapping around him like the shadows of his family. How much of his own truth was he ready to confront and reveal? Yes, the fight for his identity was unfolding, but at what cost? With that uncertainty spiraling in his mind, he braced for the next chapter he was about to write, one that would forge either a new legacy or cement the old one in bloodstone. Vinny felt the pull of gravity as they stopped outside the next house, a modest structure that seemed unremarkable, yet held the promise of unlocking deeper insights into his own psyche. He could sense the pressure mounting within. This was more than just an interview. It was a potential confrontation with the ghosts of his lineage that lingered just beyond the surface. "Let's just get through this," he muttered under his breath. Discomfort gripped him, weaving through his thoughts like a tendril of smoke. He glanced at Mia, her eagerness radiating, oblivious to his fraying corners. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing as she caught the flicker of doubt on his face. "Yeah, let's do this. I'll be fine," he lied, attempting to mask the turmoil roiling inside. As they knocked on the door, his heart raced at the thought of hearing yet another life story. What if it mirrored his own too closely? When the door opened, a middle-aged man with a disheveled appearance ushered them into a small living room filled with framed photographs, times frozen in a family history that felt both alluring and frightening. "Welcome," the man said, his voice gravelly but warm. "I'm Frank. What do you want to know?" Vinny stumbled over his introduction, an odd mix of familiarity and fear coating him. His words, "We want to hear your story," he said, hesitating as he recalled the last encounter with Mrs. Salvatore. Frank settled into a worn-out chair, a stark contrast to the crispness of his performer's jacket. "My story? It's just like everyone else's. Tough at times, but full of love nonetheless." Vinny felt a knot in his throat. Was it just his imagination, or were there implications lurking in Frank's simple words? "What do you mean, tough?" he pressed, both excited and afraid to confront the possible truths that might spill out. Frank's gaze darkened, and for a moment, Vinny recognized a flicker of vulnerability. "Life can throw you wrenches. Lost my brother to the streets. Whole family fell apart after that." With each revelation, Vinny felt threads from his own life intertwining with Frank's story. His instincts prodded him forward. "How did you cope?" "Bottled it all up," Frank chuckled bitterly, "until it came out in dark places." His eyes drifted to a framed picture of a younger man with a bright smile, a stark contrast to the shadows that now weaved around them. Vinny's pulse quickened. Bottling up emotions mirrored his father's approach to life. What had it cost him? "What if you let it out?" Vinny challenged, the words spilling out before he could contemplate their weight. "What if you confront those demons instead of keeping them hidden?" Frank glared at him, the air thick with tension. "You think that's easy?" "No," Vinny admitted, his voice steadying, "but it might be worth it." In that moment, the walls of the modest home felt like they were closing in, mirroring his internal struggle between familial legacy and personal truth. Did Frank wear his pain like a badge of honor, or was it a shackle that bound him, just as Vinny felt his own name doing? Frank's posture shifted, and for the first time, he seemed to reconsider the burden he carried. "You're young, but you should know. Sometimes facing the truth means losing the battle before you can win the war." Vinny pondered those words, feeling both the weight and promise they held. He sought liberation, but what if that meant confronting not just the stories of others, but the unvarnished truth of his own existence? As the conversation flowed, a sudden thought sparked in him. What if Frank's journey revealed not only the coping mechanisms of trauma, but also paths forward beyond the Rossi shadow? When the interview concluded, Vinny stepped outside, the chill of the evening air striking against his face. He dared to look into the abyss that was his consciousness, questioning if revealing his own story could catalyze something profound. "Are you all right?" Mia asked again, her voice a tether to the present. "Yeah, actually," he responded slowly, surprise mingled with clarity dawning upon him. Yet lurking beneath this newfound resolution was a nagging uncertainty. Was he ready to confront what lay beneath layers of silence in his own family? His heart racing anew, as if awakening from another realm, he turned to the car, drawing in a breath as he braced to navigate the intricacies of his lineage. The impending battle with familial expectations growing closer, he realized, was inevitable. But would this journey lead him to the gateway of his true self, or push him back into the depths of anonymity? With that thought lingering, the question unfurled silently in his mind. How would he reconcile the shadows from the past with the melodies yet to be composed? Stepping into the car, the worn leather seat felt oddly comforting against his anxious body. As Mia slid into the driver's seat, Vinny's gaze remained unfocused, lost in the echoes of Frank's haunting revelations. Each story shared melded into his own experiences, an intricate tapestry of grief and silence that demanded to be unraveled. Where to next? Mia's voice broke through the fog, threatening to ensnare him. I think we should talk to someone who knew my dad. Maybe they can shed light on what really happened. The thought sprang forth impulsively, but it ignited an urgency in him that felt undeniable. He needed clarity, not only about his father's legacy, but also about the burdens that had been passed down, sometimes like gifts, and other times like curses. The drive felt fleeting as Mia navigated the city streets, yet the weight of their destination seemed to expand with each passing moment. Vinny reviewed what he knew, whispers of his father's past, half-remembered tales of family pride wrapped in the shadows of crime. He had lived in the comfort of ignorance for so long, but now those shadows pressed in around him, demanding acknowledgement. "Do you think confronting it will change anything?" Mia asked, glancing over at him with a mix of concern and curiosity. Vinny's fingers drummed against the worn armrest, the rhythm of his thoughts quickening. "It has to. I can't keep pretending it's not there." They arrived at a small diner, a place that matched the authenticity he needed. As they entered, the smell of fried food mingled with the faint sound of lively chatter, mundane details that felt surreal given the gravity of their mission. Taking a booth near a window, they scanned the room. A familiar figure came into view. Old Tony, a former associate of his father, known for his frequent visits and stories that dripped with nostalgia. "Is that him?" Mia asked, her voice laced with a mixture of curiosity and anxiety. "Yeah, that's him." Vinny hesitated, a surge of apprehension gripping him. He had admired Tony from a distance, but felt utterly unprepared for this confrontation. Was it too soon to dissect the layers of his father's life? With a deep breath, Vinny slid out of the booth and made his way to Tony. Each step felt monumental, a movement towards potentially life-altering truths. As he approached, Tony looked up, a flicker of recognition crossing his eyes. "Hey there, kid. Been a while." Tony's broad smile seemed genuine, but tinged with a hint of caution. "What's on your mind?" Vinny swallowed, wrestling with the weight of his inquiry. "I wanted to ask you about my dad, things you knew, the real stuff." Tony's expression faltered for a moment, as if caught unprepared. "Your old man was a good man, Vinny. Tough, but he loved fiercely. Sometimes the love came with heavy baggage." The ambiguity of the words stung. "What do you mean? What baggage?" "Vinny, the streets aren't forgiving. Decisions were made that I doubt he wanted to carry, but it's hard to break free when it's in your blood." The implication stung, a tapestry of decisions, legacies, and curses woven into the fabric of his history. He felt his heart race. What choices had his father made? What truths had he buried to protect his family? "Tell me everything," Vinny demanded, the fierceness in his voice surprising even himself. "I need to understand." As Tony started to recount tales of loyalty and betrayal, Vinny felt his world tilting. He was crumbling the pedestal on which he'd placed his father, but for the first time, he could see duality, the love or the pain that both forged and shackled their lineage. Each revelation brought with it a surge of emotions he'd buried deep within, mirroring those threads of trauma and silence he had tasted in Frank's story. With each word, a knot began to unravel, exposing core issues that haunted Vinny like ghosts. Could he reshape the narrative destined for him? Could he step away from the shadow of his father's legacy and find his own path without succumbing to the inevitable? As they finished, the gravity of his father's complexities settled heavy on his shoulders. Vinny understood now that he was embarking on a journey not just to reclaim a legacy, but to redefine what it meant to be a Rossi. Stepping back into the sunlight, Vinny felt a new resolve forming within him, a flicker of direction amidst the chaos. But as he climbed into the car, a chilling thought crept in. What was his father hiding, and how far back did the layers of secrecy stretch? The question hung over him, looming like a storm on the horizon. Would uncovering the truth slay the demons from his past, or unleash a tempest that could uproot his very existence? Vinny sat in the center of his studio, enveloped by the comforting hum of sound equipment that had become his sanctuary. The air felt charged, a kind of potential electricity swirling around him as he prepared to embark on an extraordinary presentation of his recently crafted songs and the stories contained within. This was not just music. It was a declaration of independence from the suffocating darkness of his family's legacy, a legacy he was now ready to confront and redefine. For weeks, he had pieced together interviews filled with raw narratives from the victims of his father's reign. Each session had unearthed profound understanding, ignited motivation, and illuminated paths previously obscured by the shadow of fear and silence. This was more than a project. It was a communal expression of liberation, a counter-narrative to the oppressive tales woven around the Rossi name. As the evening approached, Vinny's heart thudded rhythmically, echoing the beats he had arranged. Each song reflected the stories that would resonate with others who had struggled under the weight of familial expectations, much like himself. It wasn't merely about shedding light on the darkness of his family. It was about emerging into a dawn where truth could coexist with healing. The doorway opened and Mia stepped in. A warm smile splashed across her face. Ready to show the world what you've created? Her eyes sparkled with belief, and Vinny felt a surge of gratitude for her unwavering support. With your help, absolutely, he replied, squeezing out a grin, despite the fluttering nervousness that remained. He had rehearsed this moment countless times, yet standing here, on the brink of unveiling his truth, felt visceral and profound. They positioned themselves on stage, the room lighting shifting to accentuate their presence. Vinny took a deep breath, recalling the narratives that fueled his compositions: loss, resilience, betrayal, and ultimately, redemption. Each song was an intimate account from the heart of those who had lived through the storm. He had spent hours perfecting the melodies, crafting lyrics that captured their essence while embedding his emotional struggle within the harmonies. As he strummed the first chord, a sensation washed over him. Clarity and courage pierced through the layers of self-doubt. He sang of shattered dreams and battles fought in silence. The room reverberated with acceptance. It was a song not just for him, but for every soul that had endured the weight of buried truths. One by one, he shared the stories of Frank, Mrs. Salvatore, and countless others impacted by the Rossi legacy. Each song turned metaphorically into a mirror, reflecting their resilience, yet revealing the enduring shadows. By exposing those truths within art, Vinny realized he took back the power that had long felt elusive. The audience hung on his every word, drawn into the depths of his journey, a journey that had taken him from being blind in more ways than one to emerging into a full spectrum of awareness and fortitude. He crafted a narrative that scrubbed away the veneer usually associated with a Mafia legacy and unveiled a lineage layered with complexities and stark truths. When he concluded his final song, the silence was palpable, charged with a collective realization that transcended the space. Moments stretched. The audience took a moment to absorb the transformation before erupting into applause. Their cheers rang with validation, sewing the very fabric of triumph into his identity. In that moment, Vinny understood the importance of what he had achieved. He had conquered the haunting echoes of his family's dark past. The very essence of the Rossi name had shifted within him, from something that was tainted to a legacy redefined by his own hands. As he stood there, illuminated by the spotlight, he felt true fulfillment. His transformation reflected in the faces of those who had gathered. After the performance, the rush of relief mixed with elation flowed through his veins. People came forward to share their own stories, many voicing how his music struck a chord that encouraged them to confront their own hidden narratives. Bonds formed in the wake of vulnerability, causing tears and laughter to flow freely, a collective catharsis that felt both empowering and liberating. Vinny had stepped into this performance as a son burdened by weighty expectations. He emerged as a man who had taken ownership of his identity, transcending the mere byproduct of a legacy he hadn't chosen. He had transformed fear into courage and silence into a symphony of empowerment. Though the specter of his family would never fully vanish, Vinny Rossi had firmly established his position as an artist, reshaping perceptions and building bridges through his newfound voice. He walked off stage that night solid in his confidence, a confidence forged in intimacy, authenticity, and glaring truth. Vinny had not just achieved a moment of closure, he had locked into place a foundation from which he could launch into the future. His journey was just beginning. As he reflected on the path behind him, he recognized the tempest of challenges awaiting ahead, but with optimism lighting the way. Finally ready to seize his narrative, he felt fortified not by legacy, but by understanding. Now, he was ready to take the ultimate step forward. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now because this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.